Catherine Ham, Brian Wilson, Brian Neiman, today's newsmakers, and you. The Morning Majority, 630.
Football is back, 8:07 on a Tuesday morning in Washington, D.C. We don't have a debt deal.
Nope.
Still fighting over that, and probably will be fighting over that for several more days, perhaps longer. But we do have peace in our time when it comes to the NFL labor strife. Trevor Mattich joins us now, former Redskins player, ESPN, Comcast Sportsnet. Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning, Brian.
It's a good day to have football back. So what did they actually negotiate on? And at the end of the day, who won this, the players or the owners?
You know, I think everybody pretty much won. The players got what they wanted, which is the ability to continue to share at a high level in the revenues as they continue to grow. So they are business partners with the owners once again. Mm-hmm. The owners won because they have a guaranteed 10 years of labor peace. And that gives both of them what they really want, because the players have a short career. They want to make their money now. The owners think long-term, investments in stadiums and emerging markets in Europe and South America and Asia. And they've got to be able to go into negotiations in situations like that with the ability to have stability in their finances. So they have that. The only real losers here are the rookies and the agents of the rookies. Other than that, the existing players and owners, I think, all have a good situation.
So that means a salary system set up for rookies, for people who are drafted into the league?
Yeah, Brian, that's what's up. I mean, the rookies now will be slotted into a fairly fixed salary situation.
Okay.
And it'll change mostly the rookies in the top two-thirds of the first round, maybe the entire first round. Everybody else, it won't affect that much. It's actually better for the rookies at the bottom because minimum salaries have gone up about $55,000. But really at the top is where you'll see most of the emotion and the flash and the anger. Because last year's top pick in the draft, for example, Sam Bradford, quarterback out of Oklahoma, drafted in the first pick by the Rams, got $50 million guaranteed. $50 million guaranteed before he even stepped foot on an NFL field.
Wow. Well,
this year's first pick is another quarterback, Cam Newton from Auburn. He's picked by the Carolina Panthers. He'll be guaranteed about $22 million. He lost around $30 million in this deal, and he won't be able to make that up ever.
Oh, don't worry. Auburn,
he made some money in college,
Auburn will pay him back the back money. Don't worry about that. Sorry, I had to go there.
I know.
Hey, Trevor, here's my question. Now you start getting your lineup set. You cut some people, you add some people. Sadly, we can't cut the owner. So I guess the question is, are we going to cut Albert Haynesworth?
Well, you know something, they don't want to just cut Albert Haynesworth because that's a guy they do not want in the division. And up at Philadelphia, his former defensive line coach from Tennessee is coaching with the Eagles now, and so there's a relationship there. And they don't want to have to face him twice a year, so they would rather trade him, even if it's for a late-round draft pick. The question is, will anybody give him that draft pick knowing that they're going to release him anyway? So, they'd rather choose where he goes. If they cut him, he chooses where he goes.
Well, don't they? If they keep him on the roster, even if they don't play him, but they keep him on the roster and then let him go after the trading deadline, then he goes on waivers, right? And then that way he couldn't be a free agent, and he wouldn't get to pick where he gets to go.
Yeah, but there is depending on what the collective bargaining agreement says, there's also a right of refusal too. So, we'll have to see where that is. But you're right about that. The Redskins want to make sure that they manage how that works. Now, the good news is that because of the $21 million payment that they gave him last April, he doesn't have any accelerated cap number this year. If they release him in any way, trade, cut, whatever, it'll save them about $5.5 million against the cap. Last year was an uncapped year, so it was actually good for the Redskins from a cap standpoint to have that money occur last year, because now it'll help them financially instead of hurt them to release him.
Trevor, I wonder if you could bottom line this for me. So I love football, but I haven't been paying attention to the details of this deal because I've been, unfortunately, having to pay attention to the debt ceiling deal. But as a football fan, does it change the way I watch football, how I'm going to experience this season? What changes for me?
Mary Catherine, for you watching football, the only thing to really watch that you'll notice is if players get injured more frequently.
I wondered about that.
Yeah, one of the things about the off season is that it gradually conditions these athletes to get ready for training camp. Training camp conditions them to get ready for the season.
Right.
Well, the fact that they didn't have the same kind of conditioning to get ready for camp means that we need to watch out for a greater number of pulled hamstrings and pulled groins and tweaked backs and things like that normally occur in camp. And the thing is, if they do occur, then the guys will, go into the regular season with even less conditioning. And so watch for a greater occurrence of injury. The thing you won't notice is that, and probably won't notice, is that at the bottom of the roster, a lot of those guys that would have had a chance to impress coaches and make the team now haven't had that chance in the off season and will have a limited chance during the season. Watch for backup quarterbacks, because if your starter gets hurt, the backups didn't have the off season to be able to go through and get their reps, because the backups don't get the reps during practice and during games as much as the starters during the regular season. So I think there'll be even a bigger drop-off between the starting quarterback and the backup in the regular season should the starter get hurt.
Well, speaking of quarterbacks, you talked about Haynesworth might not be able to trade him. Can the Redskins trade Donovan McNabb at this point? And is John Beck really going to be the starting QB against the Giants on September 11th to start the season off?
Brian, doesn't that just make you tingle all over?
Warm fuzzies.
Finally, it's our guy, John Beck. The advantage that the Redskins have in trading rather than just releasing McNabb is that, teams know that he'll be released, but there are several teams that have a young quarterback from the first round this year that need a veteran backup or a veteran starter in the beginning to mentor that guy. So there's more than one team that would look for him. And because he couldn't be traded earlier in the off season and go to the team practices to learn the system, the sooner they get McNabb into their camp, the faster he'll be able to learn their offense. So there is an advantage for other teams to trade for him immediately rather than wait for him to be released and take their chances. From a standpoint of John Beck, the Redskins right now are not a quarterback away from being a contender. The Redskins, in my opinion, are 3 or 4 years away from really being a solid contender outside of just catching lightning in a bottle, staying healthy, and everything coming together. They've got too many positions that they need to put together. And so, John Beck, as long as he can be a caretaker for the offense minimum, we'll be fine. He won't be the anchor on this team. There's plenty of other places that'll be the anchor on the team. So, I think Beck has the talent and the experience to be a very good game manager, and maybe more. But on a team that was more playoff ready, I'd be a lot worried about a guy who hasn't thrown an NFL pass in the regular season since 2007, possibly being my starter. But because of the situation with the rest of the roster, I'm not so much worried about it as long as he's not heinous.
All right. Trevor Matich, once described as the hardest working man in the NFL. Thanks for joining us here on The Morning Majority.
All right, Brian. And Mary Catherine, you make sure to slap those guys around if they give you any grief.
Yeah, she does.
I do my best.
Don't trust me.
I've been in training all summer.